Here sitting on the bench right now is a 1969 Zenith, model Z4507W. It's a 23-inch color TV. I just picked it up at an estate sale this past weekend in Blue Island, Illinois. And I just started working on it last night, which was Wednesday. And I tested the tubes, did the basic checks, and the set powered up. And this is pretty much the picture I got at that stage. A really nice sharp picture. Now the color is real good too, but I got the color level turned down because the purity's off whenever you turn a picture tube 90 degrees. You can kind of see what we got if I turn up the color here. I'll tune another channel. See, the color's not there. So I just keep that off. They call this the concentric tuner set, obviously because the UHF and VHF tuners are concentrically aligned, and the convergence panel is behind the speaker grill on this set. But anyway, the reason we got the bottom panel removed is so I could kind of just get a check and see what the chassis is like underneath. Had all the original tubes in it yet. 3 of them were bad. I actually had a shorted 6U10 horizontal oscillator, which is kind of rare. The TV still worked fine though, but it's always good practice, I think, to test every tube in an old set regardless of its working condition, because sometimes you get one of those weird intermittent shorted tubes or whatever. You know, obviously intermittents, you're not always going to pick them out with the meter, but if you have grid emission or anything like that, the TV can still work, but over time you could be causing strain on some of the circuits. So it's also good to know, just in your own mind, that you know every tube's 100% in good working condition. So, yeah, I had a 6U10 was shot. 6Z10 sound output tube, those are always bad in these. And I had also had a bad 6KT8 cathode follower tube. So otherwise the set still worked pretty good. But the vertical's a little short, which isn't the end of the world. That's an easy fix. It's most likely a cap or the VDR in the vertical size circuit. One of the two normally causes it in the color sets. But when I first had it going, the high voltage was running high at 28 kV. I quickly went and adjusted it down to 25 kV. And Zenith used the hollow core high voltage potentiometers, which you can kind of see right there. And using a tapered flathead screwdriver kind of wedges itself in there, and you can adjust the control without hacking it up. But I would prefer to have the Zenith alignment tool if I could ever find one. And this is the 16Z8C50 chassis. So it's got some solid state stuff in there, but still pretty much an all tube type set. So with the high voltage brought down to 25 kV, the flyback was kind of running hot. I was a little concerned. So that's why we got it up on the bench here also, because you got to adjust the efficiency coil from under the chassis. And there it is, right down there with the green wires. They give you a little hole right here to put the adjusting stick in there. And this chassis, you shunt your meter over a 4.7 ohm 1 watt resistor, which I've got it already kind of set up here. I got my RCA VTVM hooked up. And we set the meter to low voltage scale. In this case, I'm at about 1.5 volts DC scale. And here's the meter needle. And it really doesn't matter, you know, what the voltage is. What you're trying to do, you're trying to peak the meter for minimum indication, because minimum voltage means minimum cathode current. So you can see here, you just put this in, and what we do, we'll zoom in on the meter. I'll just pick a reference point, something I can clearly see. I'm going to adjust my zero control on my meter until I'm right on a graduation mark. And I'll be able to detect any deviation in the needle from that point. Now the camera's kind of on an angle, so when I look at it straight on, the camera sees it a little different because we're not looking at it from the same angle. What we do, we flip the service switch to setup. So now we've got no beam current going to the CRT. Now we just turn the core in, slowly watching the meter. Let me check the camera here. I'm going to try to adjust this so that the camera has the right perspective. I'm just adjusting the zeroing on the meter right now. We're just going to keep it right there. I'm going to back the core out a little bit. Okay, obviously we don't want to go out. We're raising the voltage, as is the cathode current. So now let's bring it down. There we go. We're starting to fall. That's good. And now we're raising back up again. So we passed our peak point. And now we're rising again. So we'll go back clockwise, advancing the core in. That's about it right there. It's about as low as we can get it. And just that little bit of movement makes a huge difference. So that should really have a considerable impact on how cool the flyback runs. Very, very important to check your cathode current on these sets. Even if it works fine, you should check it. These TVs are 40 years old. Component values drift. That's why the high voltage was so high. You know, some resistor or cap changed value, and, you know, who knows how long it's been since the set was powered up. You know, the way, from what I could tell, it looked like the TV hadn't been touched in at least 15, maybe 20 some years. So, we'll put the service switch back in to normal.
Should take some of the pressure off.
Deliver some fibrin glue.
Lock hard. What?
It's a tissue adhesive. It can be used for splenic.
It's years.
They don't talk about what they did over there with their wives. And
Sale American Mattress. And American Mattress is now your Tempur-Pedic headquarters. Purchase it.
And these Zenith sets are pretty cool because they got these nice solid steel back covers. And I'll tell you what, see the CTC5 here? You're going to find one of these before you find one of these. And I'd bet money on it. I've been looking for one of these TVs for, I'm not kidding you, probably since I was 10 years old. And that's 15 years already. I've really wanted to find one. I've been going to estate sales consistently for 10 years, and I finally found one. So here it is, and keep watching the videos. We'll have a follow-up.